and welcome to virtual classroom of Apti Plus IAS Academy. In this video session, we are going to discuss the pardoning powers of President of India as given to him under Article 72 of Indian Constitution. This topic has become especially pertinent in context of Nirbhaya convicts who repeatedly tried to use this provision in order to delay the execution of their death sentence. As expected, President Ramnath Kovind rejected their mercy petitions every time they were filed. Indian presidents have had different track records as far as the disposal of mercy petitions are concerned. We have examples on both extremes whereby the presidents have disposed of a good number of mercy petitions, and on the other hand, they have taken minimum interest in disposal of mercy petitions. For example, President R. Venkatraman has the track record of disposal of, or we can say rather, the rejection of highest number of mercy petitions. He rejected a whopping 45 mercy petitions in his term of 5 years. Similarly, our last president, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, received 34 mercy petitions in his term of 5 years, out of which he rejected 30 mercy petitions. If we go to the other extreme, President K.R. Narayanan, who was our president from 1997 to 2002, did not dispose of even a single mercy petition. His immediate successor, Mr. President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who was our president from 2002 to 2007, in a term of 5 years, he disposed of only 2 mercy petitions, out of which one he accepted and one he rejected. Before we look at the provision of pardoning power in our country, let us have a brief look at similar provisions given in other countries. If we talk about USA, Article 2 of US Constitution gives similar powers to the President of USA, who can pardon all sentences and punishments awarded by judicial system except the impeachment proceedings. Similarly, in UK, the power of pardon of British monarch is well established, and the British monarch can pardon any sentence, punishment, crime, debt, or duty. In fact, our neighbor Pakistan, in Article 45 of its constitution, provides the pardoning power to the President of Pakistan, which was quite in news in case of Sarabjit's death sentence. Before we come to the Article 72 and its contents, let us first discuss that what is the rationale or what is the reason behind giving of pardoning power to President of India. There are 2 main reasons behind giving this power to President of India. The first reason is that once the judicial system has found a person guilty and convicted a person, the President of India, the head of India's executive, might feel the punishment too harsh and may want to commute or reduce the punishment awarded by the judicial system. This was acknowledged by Supreme Court in the very famous Kuljit Singh versus Lieutenant Governor case 1982, which is also popularly called as Ranga Billa case. The second rationale of giving this power to President of India was acknowledged by Supreme Court in another case called Tehar Singh versus Union of India 1988, which pertains to the assassination of our former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi on 31st of October 1984. In this case, the Supreme Court acknowledged the need of pardoning power to correct the judicial error. Yes, you heard it right, that Supreme Court itself, in this case, acknowledged that even the supremely trained legal minds are prone to commit errors. And to rectify those errors, we have to keep a scope of the pardoning power in Constitution of India. Now coming to Article 72 of Indian Constitution. The origin of this article lies in the powers of pardon of British monarch, from where the pardoning powers got their way into Section 295 of Government of India Act 1935. And thereafter, in our Constitution, this article was adopted as Article 72. Article 72 gives the power of pardon to President of India to grant pardons in all cases of court martials, that is, punishment by military courts to serving personnel of the three defense forces of India, that is the Indian Army, Indian Navy, and the Indian Air Force. Second, the president can pardon any sentence given to a person against a union law, that is a law made by the parliament. And third provision of Article 72 allows the President of India to grant pardon in all cases where the sentence given is sentence of death. Please remember that this power of pardon of President is exercised by President on the advice and aid of Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. That means that this pardoning power of President is not at all a discretionary power of President which he can exercise on his own. It has to be exercised. The clemency, the forgiveness, the mercy has to be shown by President on the advice of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. Coming to the features of the pardoning power of President. The first discussion that we have to make is that whether the pardoning power is subject to judicial review or not. This particular question has been taken up by Supreme Court in various cases, and the position of Supreme Court is that the pardoning power of President has to be exercised independently of any intervention of judiciary. And therefore, while exercising this power, the judiciary cannot interfere in functioning of Indian President. However, Supreme Court has further held that the exercise of this power of pardon by President cannot be done without application of mind or on basis of certain malicious or malified grounds. For example, the President cannot pardon a person solely because of his religion, race, caste, sex, or language. There has to be a rational and reasonable basis behind exercise of this power. And therefore, the present position as to judicial review of President's pardoning power is that it is subject to a very limited judicial review on specific grounds if the power is exercised on certain malicious reasons. A very interesting aspect of Article 72 in pardoning power is that Article 72 and constitution makers have not mentioned any time period or time frame within which the President is expected to exercise his pardoning power. That means as soon as the President receives a mercy petition from any convict, within how much time he has to make his decision and accept or reject the mercy petition, there is no such time frame or time period mentioned in Article 72. And this in past has led to inordinate and unreasonable delays in disposal of mercy petitions. For example, in 2014, there were two such interesting cases. The first case pertains to the three assassins of our former Prime Minister, Rajiv Gandhi. These three assassins were convicted by a special TADA court in 1998 and were awarded capital punishment. Their capital punishment, that is death penalty, was confirmed by Supreme Court in 1999, and thereafter these three convicts filed mercy petitions to President of India. Their mercy petitions were kept pending by successive presidents for 11 years and 4 months, as a result of which in 2014 Supreme Court commuted, that is, changed the nature of sentence of these three convicts from death penalty to life imprisonment, on the ground that unreasonable and inordinate delay in execution of the sentence is a violation of Article 21 of Constitution and amounts to torture. A similar case happened in 2014, which pertained to two death convicts called Suresh and Ramji. These two convicts were awarded death sentence, and both of them filed their mercy petitions in front of governors and the President of India. Every time their mercy petitions were rejected, but they had to finally wait for 12 years to get their mercy petitions rejected. In 2014, one of their family members called Shatrughan Chauhan approached Supreme Court under Article 32 and filed a writ petition. Supreme Court, in this case called Shatrughan Chauhan versus Union of India 2014, held that unreasonable, inordinate, and undue delay in disposal of mercy petitions by President amounts to torture, and therefore this can be a reasonable or valid ground for commuting death sentence into life imprisonment. Therefore, a question which arises is that should there be a constitutional time limit on president under which he has to exercise his power? That is, should the parliament amend the constitution, amend Article 72, and put a time frame within which the president has to accept or reject the mercy petitions? Before we conclude this question, we have to consider the fact that the President of India has to consider multiple factors before he accepts or rejects a convict's mercy petition. The four main factors which President has to consider are the nature of crime committed by the convict. Second, the scope of reformation of the convict. That is, how has been his behavior inside prison? Has he shown any remorse? Has he shown any guilt? And has he shown any signs of reformation and capability of being integrated again with the society? Third is the age of the convict. And fourth is the effect of society, the effect, I beg your pardon, on society if the convict is pardoned. Only after considering these four main factors, the president can take a call whether he will accept the mercy petition and give the convict a fresh lease of life, or he will doom the convict to death. It is also to be noted that the highest office of India, that is the President of India, cannot be bound in a rigid time frame, which is rigid and as well as inelastic, because President of India has to consider a lot of other factors. Also, the President cannot afford to show any haste in disposal of mercy petition because it pertains to someone's life or liberty. In our next class, we will discuss, is death penalty allowed in Indian Constitution? Also, does death penalty violate a right to life under Article 21? As we all know, that Article 21 grants to all persons, which means not just Indian citizens, but even aliens, right to life and liberty, except according to procedure established by law. And therefore, if the judicial system convicts a person to death sentence, is it not violative of his right to life under Article 21? We will also have a look at a very interesting case called Bachchan Singh versus State of Punjab, 1980, in which Supreme Court put forward the doctrine of rarest of rare cases. We shall also discuss the question as to whether India should abolish capital punishment or not, because even the Law Commission has observed that it is time for India to adopt a liberal reformation system and abolish capital punishment, except in cases of crimes against state and crimes of terrorism. As you must all be knowing that more than 2/3 countries of the world have already abolished death penalty either in law or in practice. That is, whether the law itself does not provide for it in these countries, or even if the law contains the provisions, the judicial system no longer awards capital punishment. These topics we shall discuss in our next class. Let us now solve a question from this topic, which has been asked by UPSC in CDS examination. The source of this question is UPSC website itself. And that is why you can see the question number of this particular question. It says, which one of the following statements relating to the power of President of India to grant pardon is not correct? Option A, the President has the power to grant pardon where punishment or sentence is by a court-martial. Yes, it is a correct statement. Article 72 grants President a power to grant pardon in all cases of punishment by a court-martial. Option B, the President can grant pardon in all cases where the sentence is a sentence of death. Yes, it is correct. Article 72 empowers the president to pardon death sentences. Please note that similar pardoning powers are also given to governors of states under Article 161. But the significant difference between the pardoning powers of governors and president is that the governors cannot pardon death sentences and they cannot pardon sentences by court martials. Therefore, the statement given in option B is also correct and therefore it is not the answer. Option C, the court's power of judicial review is very limited in relation to the decision of president on mercy petition. Yes, this option is correct. As we discussed, that the challengeability of president's decision in Supreme Court or high courts, that is the judicial review, is quite limited in nature and can be challenged only in those cases where the exercise of pardoning power has been done by president on basis of certain malicious or malified grounds. Coming to last option, option D. It says the power to grant pardon by the president is the power that the sovereign never exercises against its own judicial mandate. This statement is incorrect and therefore option D is the answer. It says the power to grant pardon by the president is the power that the sovereign, the word sovereign here refers to the highest office of land, that is the president of India. Therefore, it says that the president or the sovereign never exercises this pardoning power against its own judicial mandate. No, this is what exactly the president does. That is, once the judiciary has given its mandate, that is, once judiciary has given its conviction of a person, over that the president of India can exercise his pardoning power and show mercy or show the act of forgiveness to the convict. And therefore, option D is the answer because the statement contained in option D is incorrect. A question was also asked by UPSC in CSE main examination 2014. And the question, as we discussed, pertained to the two cases of Rajiv Gandhi's assassins and the two death convicts, Suresh and Ramji. In both the cases, the mercy petitions filed before the President of India were unduly delayed. And that is why UPSC asked this question in the main exam of 2014. It says, instances of President's delay in commuting, that is reducing death sentences, has come under public debate as denial of justice. Should there be a time limit specified for the President to accept, reject such petitions? Analyze. Yes, as Supreme Court acknowledged in Shatrughan Chauhan versus Union of India 2014, that if there is unreasonable delay, if there is too much delay in disposal of mercy petitions by the President of India, it amounts to torture and agony, not only for the convict, but also for the family members of the convict. And therefore, it amounts to denial of justice. The second part of the question asks you that should there be a time limit specified for the President to accept or reject such mercy petitions. As we discussed, that the head of the state, the President of India, cannot be bound in a rigid and inelastic time frame because the President has to consider a number of factors like scope of reformation of the convict, his behavior inside the jail, his age, and the effects on just society, etc., before the President can make up his mind. And therefore, we cannot bound the President in a rigid time frame. However, it is expected by the President that there will not be any unreasonable or undue delay in disposal of mercy petitions. We stop this session for now. Until next time, take care. Goodbye.